Hi, everyone. It's Al from Boston. It's the 4th of December. It's 2:08 in Boston. And I'm making a video on AMC and corporate espionage. These are the tactics, the equipment, the employment, and the results. So let's have a chat about the hedge funds and this industry, right? Hedge funds are not a financial institution. They're not financial institutions at all. What they are is intelligence agencies. They're intelligence agencies that scour for data, that they look for tips or do what's called trend analysis, and they sift through all this data and they make a discernible, if you will, play. In other words, there's stuff going on in, I'll give you a good example, right? The Ivory Coast or Sierra Leone in Africa, okay? Sierra Leone is known as a diamond hub, right? That's where people used to buy blood diamonds back in the 80s. So their satellites or some local guy that's working there that they're networked in calls up and makes a tip and says, there seems to be a deficit of diamonds in the major, mining town that has been producing diamonds the last 30 years. It's a huge. We haven't been able to find that's a huge deficit. There's something going on. We don't have any diamonds, and the company that owns that is like, let's say, De Beers or some fucking, I don't know, some company, right? So this guy calls it in, and what they do is they start doing analysis work. They will start to pick apart De Beers. They'll say, okay, if they are no longer supplying diamonds, where else are they getting diamonds from? They're getting it from the Middle East. They're getting it from Egypt, India, wherever, right? But the loss of this major diamond facility in Sierra Leone means that it has to translate into income that is lost. And that is where the strike price comes from, right? So let's say De Beers is trading at $100, and let's say the strike price is $70. It's $30 that they're going to lose per share, okay? So let's say they announce that there's no more diamonds in Sierra Leone, and the entire industry takes a shit. The entire jewelry industry starts to sell off assets or whatever, and De Beers is explicitly implicated. So let's say it goes down $20, right? It's the $90, it's $80, but it has to hit 70. They can either short the stock from there or just wait it, and depending on when the time frame is, they can just wait it out and see if it hits 70 because there's other sell-offs, or they'll put out FUD through a local company, or just make up stuff, have MSNBC do a story, whatever. And that's when it hits the strike price. And when that strike price hits, that's when they collect their options money, right? That's how one way these guys operate. I bring up the espionage part because the intelligence community works hand in hand with espionage. It's just the same animal. They just call it different things, but I believe that they're the same animal. But I wanted to teach you guys some things about this community. I'm not an intelligence professional. I've got some experience in it, not a whole lot, but enough to say I can have an intelligent conversation and understand tactics and TTPs and things of that nature. I have friends that, this is a funny story. I have friends that are in this community, and I asked them, hey, would you mind doing a podcast with me or a Zoom call? They were like, nope, absolutely not. We don't want to talk about tradecraft. And that's that. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. It was not even a discussion. It was just, this is the way it has to be. We don't talk about those things. And it's a good thing. It's actually a great thing. At least we know that American intelligence is keeping their mouth shut. And I'm glad. Thank you, those Marines that I got to speak to you about this. And that one sailor, Corey. Thank you for that, by the way. But let's talk about how our government has done it in the past and how it correlates with AMC, okay? So our nation has been using spy software, particularly the NSA, for years, all right? There's spy software out there that corporations can afford, like Citadel, because he's in the billions. One particular company, which is very notorious, is Pegasus. It's made by an Israeli company called NSO. This application will let you hack into phones. One of the things that I I do for my cell phones. When I used to have cell phone that had I was actually a smartphone rather, I would put electrical tape on both ends. It's just as paranoid old spook Al is, and it's just the way it is. I don't like the idea of anyone being able to turn on the mic, being able to turn on speakerphone, and listening to conversations and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that I am doing. No, I'm not a paranoid old kook. I have my reasons for it, and I'll explain in a little while. Prism is an amazing piece of software. This is data collection at its finest. This is the tier one of the intelligence softwares out there. I don't know if they're still using it, but what I read about it, this is probably one of the best applications. It's data collections, just like Palantir. And I'm sure everyone knows what Palantir is. Now, I've seen Palantir's software application in Iraq being used by the Intel guys. And wow, that thing in real time is an impressive thing to watch. You can hit strike targets and you can get all the intel as it comes and gathers. And it's real time, all real time. I don't know what's in that software. I don't know how it's coded, how it's written, but it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautifully written software applications. It's so easy to use. You can build and correlate with the mission, depending on whatever it is, using that software. It's so flexible, great piece of gear. Now, Tempora is the UK's version of Prism Data Collection Opticals, and it's run by their intelligence community. Dishfire is an application that reads text messages, and there are other applications out there that do wiretaps in real time. They use brute force hacking methods, so on and so forth. But all these things are available, or in the civilian counterpart version, to the hedge funds. And some of them do use it. They will spy on corporate CEOs. They will spy on whoever they can get an information from. If they're getting emails, let's say, good example, right? Let's say there's a secretary that works for, Adam Aaron. So we'll just say Adam Aaron from now on. And she does all his emails and this, that, and the other, right? They could try to drag her through the mud somehow. They could get her phone. They could embed, malware in there, and they can watch her emails as they come in. And at nighttime, when she's asleep, those emails get copied and get sent out. And one of the telltale signs of your phone being hacked is it's awfully warm. The phone gets hot. There's a lot of stuff going on that you don't know about, and the power gets drained. So it may not be your battery. You might be getting hacked. I know I've been hacked before. I know what it looks like, and I know when somebody's onto something. So that's some stuff that you should know about. Of course, there's brute force hacks, which is where they use sophisticated software applications, and they hack websites and emails and things of that nature, and they read all your stuff and so on and so forth. They can do that, and no one's impervious to that. You got to understand something about this age, right? There's no such thing as privacy. You can run and hide. You can try to have all the VPN software in the world. If they want to find you, they're going to find you. And if they want you dead, they're going to kill you. I mean, it's just the way it is. I'm sorry to put it that way and be blunt, but it's just the intelligence. I'm talking about the intelligence community, not obviously the Citadel. But I'm talking about the intelligence community. All the stuff is real. I'm telling you. And I'm not trying to scare you or whatever. I just want to give you an understanding of how these things work, how the intelligence community works. If you're branded somebody that's it's going to topple the system or whatever. This is not to increase your paranoia, but just to have you be aware. And hopefully you're in a rational mind to see this. If you're not, I apologize for interfering with your cerebral complex here. Okay, so those are some of the software applications out there. There are civilian counterparts to each and every one of these. They're out there. I don't know who the providers are. This is what I could find. I'd imagine in some circles you could find those things, and you can employ them, or you can employ, you can buy the actual software application or use the service, and they send a guy and they get you the information that you need and be done with it. That's the transaction. Keep them on retainer or whatever. Okay. So let's talk about the employments of these things, the tactics that people use. So I was on a podcast the other day, and somebody asked me, Al's kind of a shill, man. He's got a Bloomberg terminal, but he doesn't own a camera on his phone or his computer. You're damn right I don't. And there's reason why. I don't have any of that stuff. And I'll give you some real reasons why I don't. First thing I noticed over the years is the alarming number of government-led, privacy operations, if you will. People are listening into people's phone calls. They're turning on cameras. That whole Snowden thing, that freaked me out. That completely weirded me out. And after that, I was like, nope, this isn't for me. I don't want to be technologically codependent. I want to be able to, do my own thing without having an electronic leash. So I got rid of my smartphone. I have a dumb phone, a flip phone that I bought off the internet from Mexico when they still had like 1G. And I've got a piece of crap phone. It doesn't have a camera. It doesn't have GPS. It's a very single operating phone. It just calls 911 if I need to. My family members, if I want to talk to them, nothing special. And texting is a pain in the neck. I've become fluent in it now after all these years, but it's a pain in the neck. The other thing is that I don't trust the AI that's out there. I'm getting to AI here in a little bit, but one of the things they can do is they can manipulate video content into all kinds of stuff. And I've seen this being done, and this is done in the intelligence community. And finally, and this is me personally, and I'm just going to pour myself out there. If you hear me, if you don't, no big deal. I've done a couple tours in Iraq, and sometimes I don't always feel good about being on camera. I don't always feel great about my appearance. I just don't want to be on camera. I'm not a camera person. I don't have anything to hide. I mean, the photo you see is me. There's nothing, that's me right there. I'm not a shill. I am of an Indian ethnicity. This is me. This is who I am. I just don't like being on camera. And, it's something that I hope that you guys would grant me this thing, just to allow me to operate in peace and on my terms rather than, I don't want that kind of clout. I really don't. I know it seems counterintuitive. I'm not looking for clout. I'm just looking to spread information so you guys understand things. As soon as this squeezes over, you will never ever hear from me again. I will delete all my Twitter accounts, all that shit. I'm never ever going to be seen or heard from again. And that's why I don't want to be viewed on camera. There's those reasons why. And there's some days when, especially if you fought in a war and gone through some of the shit that I've been through, you don't always like seeing yourself on camera because you start thinking of dark shit, weird stuff. I don't know. We'll leave that one alone. All right. So let's go on to the next one. So what are the common tactics used in corporate espionage? First thing, people get offered money all the time. Go to a secretary. Hey, I'll give you $50,000 if you give me my spy. I'll pay you in cash and you'll never have to worry about anything. I'll pay you always on time. What's going on in that company every week. She writes a report when she gets home or she talks to somebody and information is exchanged. And that is one of the most true blue ways, right? Another thing that they could do is they could send out people to go work in the company, actual hedge fund employees that have fabricated backgrounds and go work for companies that they're targeting. And they'll have a perfect squeaky background and squeaky background. And they'll get into that company and they'll audit all their financials and see that this is bullshit, that's bullshit, blah, 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 X, Y, and Z. They'll collect a paycheck from the hedge fund, but will also collect a paycheck from the company that they're working for, that they're spying on. And they just leave after they find the information they need and they go. This happens quite frequently. I know this happens because I did research on this. I know this is a thing that they do. Next one, blackmail. Okay. One of the things that I've seen and heard about is corporate CEOs getting caught in sex stings. They'll hire a prostitute or whatever, and they'll make, they'll go to a hotel room or somewhere. They'll put a video camera out there and they'll watch them having intercourse or whatever. He's a married guy or whatever, and they videotape it. And, they will say to him, hey, you better tell us everything going on with this company, what's really going on. And we want to know these things, but it's never directly hedge fund. It's usually a guy in the middle, a middleman somewhere that they hire and, that sort of thing. Another thing that they use is they put incriminating stuff on computers. Think of our boy Adam Aarons. If they find weird pornography or some messed up thing and an anonymous tip comes in, hackers can go into your computer, put all kinds of weird, bizarro shit in there to discredit you, right? Including photographs and videos that they've manipulated, which goes on conveniently to my next point, AI-generated learning machines, okay? These things this is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. This is one of the main reasons why I don't want to be on camera. It's AI, right? AI could now generate human beings that have been dead. They can take their voice, their emotions, their mannerisms, and their way they move, their body move, and create an artificial you on camera. Yes, they can do that. I am not shitting you. You can look it up. It's on Google, it's on YouTube. You can watch the videos on there. And they can manipulate your voice, your tonality, your pitch, the crescendo. One good example is this, right? They took, this is a good example. Remember the Three Stooges? Do you remember when they used to say, hello, 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 all three at once? The AI watched videos of them separately and was able to generate that hello, hello, hello in the crescendo, in the pitch perfectly. So when you got the AI version and you compared it to the one that's used on the screen that they did it together when they greeted people, it was identical. It was virtually identical. You would have to be a trained person or a family member not to spot the difference. That's how good they can do this. So a guy, let's say, they did that on somebody like, perfect example, Trey, right? Trey, I notice when he's excited, he's very loud, he's boisterous, and this, that, and the other, right? So his voices are projecting, it's coming down, whatever. And then when he's not feeling all that high, where he's got stuff going on, it's like his tone changes, right? Everything changes. They could scan all that data he's got on the internet, all of his videos, and they could create a Trey of their own. And they could create that, and it's real. It looks just like Trey. And Trey could say something horrible like, oh, I'm a racist, or I'm a Klansman, or whatever. And they'll do something like that to discredit him, destroy the movement and all of his, his followers or whatever. They have that kind of capability. That technology does exist, and expect, in corporate espionage, something like that to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just pointing this out. And no, I don't think he's a racist or a Klansman or whatever. Let's see, false flag operations. A false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility or pinning blame on another party. I know you guys have heard this through conspiracy theorists, but this is an actual thing. It's like, and I'm going to throw something crazy, like some crazy conspiracy theory. Something could happen that could be like a fire at a AMC theater or something, right? And then they'll say it's an electric fire, but it's actually some schmuck with gasoline or whatever, or sets a fire, has some electrical issues he tampers with, and that thing goes down, and there's people in there or whatever, and there's people are running out, and all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, what's going on here? There's like people dying or whatever, right? So that's something that you can look into and be like, whoa, wait a minute, that's the stock's going to go down, people are going to sell, blah blah blah. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Official covers. So let's talk about that. Spies in GME or AMC corporate. Absolutely. They're there now. I'm positive of it. That in the past 11 months, there's probably employees that they've hired that are probably snooping on the companies, trying to get intel, trying to get financial data, trying to figure out what the hell's going on in their corporate office. I'm sure they got listening devices or concealed in whatever. I think they do stuff like that. I think they really do. It's just my gut feeling because there's billions of dollars, right? Honeypot. All right. So I want to tell you a story about a Marine I heard about. We got told about this story when we were in boot camp. This guy named Clayton Lonetree. All right. Clayton Lonetree was this lonely guy, worked in U.S. Embassy. I don't know where it was. It was France, perhaps. And he got what's called honeypotted, which is where an attractive woman comes around and starts to be nice to you and, oh, you're friendly and this, that, and the other. And the next thing you know, you're dumping, massive amounts of data and intel and whatever. That stuff happens all the time. You start to schmooze the right person and they let things slip. And people who are observant pick up on that stuff, right? That does happen. Imposters. Let's go to the next one. And by the way, the honeypot can be both male or female. And they can do all kinds of stuff. I heard a story about a guy that had a laptop filled with information, and what did he do? It was the spy had a thumb drive where you could stick it in. It auto executed a file where the entire hard drive was copied and mirrored and photographed and put into the thumb drive in like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And lo and behold, you have a copy of that person's computer. I've seen that stuff happen. Oh, I've not seen it, but I've read about that rather. Imposters and impersonation calls, making false statements on the company's behalf. So one good example is this, right? There could be a scenario in which somebody could make a false press release and send it out on AMC or GME's behalf. Oh, we're shutting down doors. Oh, we found out that, you know, X, Y, and Z happened and our company is closing business and there's a mass sell-off. That's something that people have done to each other over the years. And I heard a story about J&J, Johnson & Johnson, years ago, where people have essentially like trying, you know, I don't know exactly all the details, but basically somebody impersonated a J&J rep and put out a press release on Newswire, and it was all bullshit. Somebody made it up, and they never found the guy. But the fact that, you know, their stock took a hit and they climbed back up later that day, but the fact that it happened made this a thing. It's tantamount to calling a bomb threat in my book. I mean, I think there's no difference between that and calling in a terroristic threat, because that's what that is. You're creating terror on behalf of investors and companies. All of a sudden people freak out, employees and stuff, right? So going to the next one, private satellite technology. There are companies out there that have satellite technologies like Google Earth that could take photographs of buildings, parking lots, and they can infer things from that. That does exist. It's there right now. These guys do business with them. It's definitely a real thing. They can hire snitches. So let's say you're working in a corporate, let's say you're keeping an eye on a Ford Motor Company or something, and next to Ford's corporate office there is a massive chain of hotels. You go in there, you pay the guy off, and you say, listen, if there's any merging activities, or if there's out of country nationals, like third country nationals coming from Germany or Spain or wherever, Japan, coming to the United States, let us know and see if you can dig and find out, right? Those are snitches. They pay them like 20 grand a year or whatever, and they keep an eye out and let people know what they're up to. Hotel managers, especially, if they see a large influx of, let's say Japanese Toyota employees coming to visit Ford, hey, that's something big that the hedge funds would want to know. That's good intel. So the guy makes a phone call, he gets a bonus that year. Let's go to the dark ones first, the last. So death threats, they do happen, of course. You got people accusing you of things. You got doctored photos, fabricating, you finding your old enemies, people that don't like you. They band together and they try to distort your character, discredit you, character assassinations. They come up with all kinds of crazy, elaborate stories trying to discredit you that makes it look like it's real. And some people get suckered into that. That does happen. I've seen that happen. Random shit, like crazy, out of the world. Like, how is this believable? But at the same time, makes you question that person is responsible for it. I have seen that. And I don't want to get into too many details, but it's absolutely true. Especially with doctored photos that they take and they create a narrative behind, right? I've seen that all the time with the media. You see that all the time as well. They could go back to your high school and find enemies that you don't like. Let's say Adam went to, he was at HBS, Harvard Business School. Let's say he had an enemy there, and they find this guy and they want him to make up stuff like, oh, Adam cheated on a test or some bullshit, fabricating these kinds of lies to discredit people is a thing that they still do to this day. Politicians do it. Be advised, if you see that coming down the pike and any kind of discrediting done to the CEO of either company, Ryan Cohen or our Adam Aarons, don't believe a word of it. It's bullshit. Until he offers a statement, don't sell shit. But they will try to do this stuff in order to get you to sell, because there's some people out there that will do that sort of stuff and freak out. And the investors are like, oh, I don't want to be involved in this. And they'll sell it. Stupid, foolish, absolute foolish. One other tactic I've seen used is Facebook, right? So one of the things, if you've had a Facebook for a long time and you've had photos, one of the things they can do is use the Wayback Machine and find photographs that you've had on Facebook. And what they'll tend to do is like look and see if they can find friends that find people that you're not friends anymore, right? So in other words, in 2008, you had a friend, John, and John's no longer your friend in 2021. Well, why is that? Did John and you have a falling out? Let's go locate John. Let's find out what's going on with that. And if you have an open friends list, they'll do that. They'll do that sort of shit. It's murky stuff. It's weird shit. They do these sorts of things. They'll find photographs and they'll doctor them and they'll do all kinds of crazy stuff. And they'll do that to either discredit a person like a corporate official, You know, anything to bring that stock down, they'll do that. Or anything to discredit people, they'll do that and assassinate their character. Sound chips, like sound chips is one of the most famous things, especially with AI. They can take bits and pieces of audio clips and they'll make you say something horrible or awful. And all of a sudden, you know, boom, there it is. It's like, I never said those things. Well, we heard it on tape. That's not my voice. Well, it is my voice, but it's not me saying it. It's something else. It's an AI. And yes, that is an actual thing. You can go to YouTube, you can find the videos on there, and you see what I'm talking about. So I hope that answers some of your questions on why I don't keep my camera on, why I don't do these things, like just keep myself exposed. I don't have anything wireless in my house, and I have a burner phone that I use. This is the way it's always been for me for the last few years. I'm not a paranoid old spook. I'm not anything like that. I just like to be cautious and be careful because we are playing in, a very high arena with people that are losing stuff that they can never gain back. And so I want to protect myself. I expect you to do the same thing, to have a measured level of caution when we do these things, and be smart. Take practical steps. Be smart about things. I don't like to use profanity as I try not to. I try not to. I try to keep things civil and professional, and I treat people with respect as often as I can until I'm disrespected, of course, and then it's it is what it is. But be kind to each other. This is another thing is like, lately I've been noticing just people going after each other and me because I have an association with somebody that they're uncomfortable with, that they don't like. And it's like, I hate being told what to do. And it's like, that's just one of those things. So listen, if you have, qualms against other people, if you have a bone to pick with them, don't go after each other. Don't go after me, please. I'm asking you not to, because it isn't productive. It doesn't get anything done. These attacks on each other, just stuff like that doesn't work. It never works. It never works out the way you want it to. It does create disharmony and it devalues the movement, in my opinion. But this is what I learned from my years of experience in consulting. These are the tactics that I use in corporate espionage. I hope you learn something from it, and I hope you take away something from it, and I hope you protect yourself and your family, and I hope you're aware. Al from Boston, signing out.